Ever had someone you deeply care about suddenly pull away, leaving you confused and wondering what went wrong? It's painful, isn't it? But what if I told you this behavior often reveals more about them than it does about you? 1. Understanding sudden distance. When someone who loves you suddenly creates distance, it's natural to feel confused and even hurt. But before jumping to conclusions, it's crucial to understand that their behavior might not be about you at all. Stress and external pressures. Sometimes, life throws unexpected challenges at people, whether it's work stress, family problems, or personal struggles. When overwhelmed, even the most loving individuals might pull back, not because they don't care, but because they're trying to cope. For example, someone might isolate themselves to avoid burdening you with their problems or to focus on finding solutions. Fear of vulnerability. Love makes people feel exposed, and for some, that vulnerability can be scary. If they're dealing with insecurities or fear of getting hurt, they might withdraw to protect themselves emotionally. This isn't a reflection of your relationship's value, but rather an internal battle they're fighting. Emotional burnout. Even in the strongest relationships, people need time to recharge. If they've been giving a lot emotionally, they might take a step back, not out of rejection but as a way to refill their emotional cup. Unspoken issues. Sometimes, distance arises from unresolved conflicts or feelings they're not ready to share yet. They may be processing their emotions, trying to figure out how to express themselves without causing harm. Understanding these potential reasons can help you approach the situation with compassion rather than panic. Remember, love doesn't vanish overnight. It's often hidden behind layers of life's complexities. 2. The role of overthinking. When someone starts ignoring you, your mind can become your worst enemy. Overthinking kicks in, creating endless what-if scenarios that make the situation feel worse than it might actually be. Jumping to conclusions. It's easy to assume the worst. Did I say something wrong? Or are they losing interest? Even when there's no solid evidence. This habit can lead to unnecessary anxiety and even push the other person further away if you act on assumptions rather than facts. Creating a negative narrative. Overthinking often leads to making up stories in your mind. For example, you might convince yourself that they're avoiding you because they don't care anymore, while the truth might be as simple as them being busy or stressed. These false narratives can cloud your judgment and make it harder to see the situation objectively. The stress spiral. When you overthink, you unknowingly amplify your stress. This heightened emotional state can make you act impulsively, sending multiple texts, over-explaining yourself, or even confronting them aggressively, all of which can strain the relationship further. Breaking the cycle. Pause and breathe. Before reacting, take a moment to center yourself. Remind yourself that not every action requires an immediate explanation. Focus on facts. Ask yourself, what do I actually know about the situation? Stick to facts rather than assumptions. Shift your perspective. Instead of dwelling on their silence, focus on your own well-being. Dive into hobbies, spend time with loved ones, or simply enjoy some solitude. Overthinking is natural, but it rarely leads to clarity. Instead, practicing patience and giving yourself, and them, some grace can lead to better understanding and a healthier way forward. 3. Emotional baggage. When someone who loves you starts ignoring you, their actions might be tied to emotional baggage they haven't dealt with. This baggage could stem from past experiences that shape how they respond to love and conflict. The impact of past relationships. If they've been hurt in previous relationships, they might carry fears of abandonment, betrayal, or rejection into their current connection. For example, they might pull away to shield themselves from perceived risks, even if those fears are unfounded in your relationship. Childhood experiences. How someone was raised plays a significant role in how they handle emotional closeness. People from environments where feelings weren't openly expressed might struggle to communicate when they're upset, choosing withdrawal over confrontation. Trauma and triggers. Past traumas, whether related to family, friends, or previous partners, can lead to emotional shutdowns. Something as small as a disagreement might trigger memories of a painful experience, prompting them to retreat as a self-defense mechanism. Fear of burdening you. Sometimes they may withdraw because they're dealing with personal struggles they don't want to share. They might feel that opening up would burden you, even if you're ready to support them. Recognizing the signs. They might show patterns of withdrawal in moments of conflict or stress. They may avoid deeper conversations or deflect when asked how they feel. They could show hesitation when it comes to vulnerability, even in good times. What you can do? Be patient. Emotional baggage isn't resolved overnight. Giving them space to work through their feelings is often more helpful than demanding immediate answers. Offer a safe space. Reassure them that your relationship is a judgment-free zone where they can express themselves openly. Encourage professional help. If the emotional baggage runs deep, suggest seeking therapy to help them process and heal. Understanding their emotional history allows you to approach their behavior with compassion. However, remember that while you can support them, it's ultimately their responsibility to address their baggage. 4. Signs it's about them, not you. When someone you love starts ignoring you, it's easy to feel like you're the problem. However, their withdrawal often says more about their own emotional state than about anything you've done. Here are key signs that their behavior is about them, not you. 1. Sudden and unexplained withdrawal. If their distance happens out of nowhere without any clear incident or conflict, it's likely tied to something internal they're dealing with. They might be navigating personal stress, insecurities, or emotions they haven't shared. 2. Consistent pattern of avoidance. If they tend to withdraw in stressful situations or after emotional closeness, it could reflect their difficulty in handling vulnerability rather than dissatisfaction with the relationship. 3. Mood swings or irritability. Their behavior might seem erratic. One moment they're affectionate and the next they're cold. This inconsistency often signals internal conflict rather than a problem with you. 4. Resistance to communication. When someone avoids discussing their feelings or provides vague answers like, "I'm fine" or "nothing's wrong," it may indicate they're struggling to articulate their own emotions. 5. External stress indicators. You might notice them dealing with significant stressors outside the relationship, work issues, family conflicts, or personal challenges. These can take up their emotional bandwidth, leaving little room for connection. What this means for you. Their behavior is not necessarily a reflection of how much they care for you. It's often a defense mechanism or a way to process their emotions. Taking their withdrawal personally can lead to unnecessary self-doubt. Recognizing that it's about them can help you stay grounded and avoid overreacting. How to handle it. Don't push too hard. Respect their need for space, but let them know you're there when they're ready to talk. Focus on their actions, not words. Sometimes people struggle to say how they feel, but their actions can reveal whether they still value the relationship. Keep the lines open. Gently check in without overwhelming them, like saying, "I'm here whenever you're ready to share." Their distance might be rooted in their personal journey, and showing patience and understanding can create a supportive environment for them to open up. 5. The power of communication. When someone you love starts ignoring you, the silence can feel deafening. Instead of letting the distance grow, open and honest communication can bridge the gap. But how you approach the conversation matters just as much as what you say. Start with empathy. Begin by acknowledging their feelings without jumping to conclusions. For instance, say, "I've noticed some distance lately, and I just want to check in with you. Is everything okay?" This shows that you care about their well-being rather than making it about yourself. Choose the right time and place. Timing is everything. Avoid addressing sensitive issues in the heat of the moment or when they're visibly stressed. Instead, choose a calm, private setting where both of you can focus on the conversation without distractions. Use I statements. Frame your thoughts in a way that focuses on your feelings rather than assigning blame. For example, say, "I feel confused and hurt when I don't hear from you," instead of, "Why are you ignoring me?" This reduces defensiveness and encourages openness. Be a good listener. Once you've expressed your concerns, give them the space to share their perspective. Resist the urge to interrupt or defend yourself. Sometimes all they need is to feel heard and understood. Avoid pressuring for answers. If they're not ready to open up, pressuring them can push them further away. Instead, reassure them by saying, "I'm here whenever you feel ready to talk." This conveys patience and support. Clarify your intentions. Make it clear that your goal is to understand and strengthen the relationship, not to criticize or argue. Let them know that you value their feelings and want to work through any challenges together. Follow up with actions. Communication isn't just about words. Show them through your actions that you're committed to the relationship. Small gestures of kindness and consistency can reinforce your message of care and support. When to step back. If they remain unresponsive despite your efforts, it's essential to respect their boundaries. Sometimes the best way to communicate love is to give them the time and space they need. Clear and compassionate communication can dissolve misunderstandings and pave the way for reconnection. 6. When to give space. As much as open communication is essential, there are times when the best thing you can do is step back and give them the space they need. It might feel counterintuitive when all you want is to resolve things, but space can often lead to clarity and healing. Recognizing the need for space. They seem overwhelmed. If their responses are short, irritated, or they seem emotionally distant, it might be a sign they're mentally overloaded. Avoidance patterns. When someone begins to dodge calls, texts, or in-person interactions, they might need time to process their emotions without external pressure. Clear signals. Sometimes they might directly or indirectly say they need some time alone, such as, "I just need to figure some things out." Why space is important. Self-reflection. Giving them room allows them to reflect on their feelings and figure out what's causing their withdrawal. Stress relief. If external stressors are overwhelming them, some time apart might help them regroup without feeling like they have to keep up appearances. Avoiding resentment. Pushing for connection when they're not ready can lead to frustration and strain the relationship further. How to give space effectively. Set boundaries. You don't have to disappear completely. Let them know you're giving them space but are still available when they need you. Avoid overchecking. Resist the urge to constantly check in or monitor their behavior during this time. Focus on yourself. Use this time to take care of your own emotional needs. Engage in hobbies, spend time with friends, or practice self-care. How to handle the waiting period. Stay patient. Space doesn't mean the end. People process emotions at different speeds, and patience can show that you respect their autonomy. Keep perspective. Remind yourself that their withdrawal likely isn't a reflection of your worth, but rather their own internal struggles. Avoid making assumptions. Don't let your mind wander into negative scenarios about why they're distant. Focus on what you know, not what you fear. When space leads to growth. If they use this time to gain clarity, they're more likely to return with a fresh perspective and readiness to reconnect. And for you, the time apart can strengthen your understanding of their needs and your ability to handle challenges with grace. 7. When to move on. As much as you might want to hold on, sometimes the healthiest choice is to recognize when it's time to let go. If someone consistently ignores you despite your efforts to communicate and support them, it may signal that the relationship has run its course. Recognizing the signs. Prolonged silence. If they've been distant for an extended period without explanation or effort to reconnect, it's a red flag. Lack of effort. Relationships require mutual effort. If they're not willing to engage or work through the issues, it shows a lack of commitment. One-sided investment. If you find yourself always initiating conversations, plans, or reconciliation, it's a sign the relationship lacks balance. Disrespectful behavior. Ignoring someone repeatedly can be a form of emotional neglect. If their actions consistently hurt you, it's essential to protect your own emotional well-being. Why letting go is healthy. Self-respect. Staying in a one-sided relationship can damage your self-esteem. Letting go is a way to honor your worth. Emotional freedom. Holding on to someone who doesn't value you keeps you stuck in a cycle of pain. Moving on allows you to heal and make space for healthier connections. Personal growth. Ending an unhealthy relationship can be a turning point for self-discovery and growth. How to let go. Acknowledge your feelings. Allow yourself to feel the sadness, anger, or disappointment. Suppressing emotions will only delay the healing process. Set boundaries. If they try to reconnect without showing genuine effort or change, protect your space by setting clear boundaries. Focus on your well-being. Reconnect with your passions, surround yourself with supportive friends and family, and prioritize self-care. Seek closure. If possible, have an honest conversation to express your feelings and gain clarity. If they're unwilling to engage, find closure within yourself. The bright side of moving on. Letting go doesn't mean failure. It's a courageous act of choosing what's best for you. Over time, you'll realize that letting go opens the door to new opportunities, healthier relationships, and a stronger sense of self. Final thoughts. Being ignored by someone you love is painful, but it's also an opportunity to learn about yourself, your boundaries, and what you truly deserve. Whether you choose to work through the distance or move forward, the ultimate goal is to protect your emotional well-being and build a life filled with mutual love and respect. Being ignored by someone you love can feel like a storm of uncertainty and pain, but it's also a moment to reflect and grow. Whether the distance stems from their internal struggles, misunderstandings, or a natural shift in the relationship, your response matters. By practicing empathy, fostering open communication, and respecting boundaries, you create space for clarity and healing. And if the time comes to let go, remember that moving forward is a courageous act of self-love. At the end of the day, you deserve a connection where love and respect flow both ways. Recognize your worth and make choices that honor your emotional well-being. If you're facing a similar situation or know someone who is, share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. How do you handle emotional distance in relationships? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Mind Matters, and turn on notifications so you never miss insights that empower your mind and heart. Together, let's navigate the complexities of life with wisdom and grace.